Hello, my wonderful, beautiful, rose guys of the Dark Sun Maverick Nation. I am the Dark Sun Maverick, and I'm here to bring you part 2 of What If Izuku was the Lagiacrus. Well, with also other stuff stacked on top, which I think they're called the Reanimators or something. Like either the Regenerators or Reanimators. All I know is that they're from the Dead Space games. Yes. I'm also adding in Dead Space. And hell with it. Why not just add in Half-Life or Portal so that we can have like things like GLaDOS and the head crabs. And head crab zombies. And like seeing as like Portal, like yeah, the turrets as well. And you guys might be wondering how the hell is that supposed to fit in? And why I would put that shit in? Well, I mean, Earth in the future, we got a lot of advanced technology. Let's just say we couldn't make, like, certain diving suits to go down to parts of the Earth that are kind of oxygen locked. Basically, the only places below the, the water that actually are breathable. And just the majority of those places are part of this whole thing. I forget what it was called. Shit. Basically, now I am back, guys. But now I know aperture science. Basically, the majority of the buildings that have been found so far that are oxygen locked, that's basically what the code is for buildings in which you can actually breathe that aren't filled with water. So you don't need a suit. I mean, nice if you keep the suit on you just in case, but you don't need it to automatically cover your head because it's pretty much oxygen locked. And the majority of these buildings that have been found that are basically oxygen locked are buildings of a certain, aperture science. If I pronounce aperture in a couple different ways, basically if I pronounce aperture like differently, it's just because of me being me. Oh, and if you think that because aperture we might run into Doug Ratman, you might as well just be right. But when and how and where and why, all those things will have to be answered in the future, possibly. But GLaDOS is indeed a thing. Because this entire, these labs are oxygen locked, so her programming was able to survive. And because of the oxygen lock, basically, that means that the Ratman, Doug Ratman, is still alive. And also, because of the oxygen lock, it means that there's still some strands of the deadly neurotoxin. Sorry, I have a little pain in my tongue. It might make it actually a little hard to do the GLaDOS voice. But I will try. the deadly neurotoxin. See, can't do it. And there's like this. I literally bit my tongue, and ever since, pain has been a bitch to handle. So basically, yeah. Because of the oxygen lock, there are still some strands of the deadly neurotoxin lying around. And, GLaDOS is still up and running. And that means the turrets are also up and running. And that also means that Doug Ratman is still alive and out there, out and about, deep within, basically, the area of the Aperture buildings. And it's actually oxygen locked pretty damn well, so even if you were to purposely try to make a hole, it wouldn't really work out all that well. Because for some reason, these buildings specifically, and some others of like different kinds, are indeed somehow specially protected, maybe by the materials they're made out of, or some other method, but no one really knows the full story on how they're able to stand the test of time, being as far down as they are in the deep blue deep sea. Hey, you gotta have a lot of balls of steel in order to go down and find these damn things. So, yeah. And basically, because of what I just said like a few seconds before that, you might actually get a hint as to possible other buildings not Aperture Science related that are also oxygen locked. Basically, that are not Aperture Science, but are still oxygen locked, just like the Aperture Science buildings. And these others, one of these other kinds would indeed be buildings that would have seemed to have been ran by Umbrella in the past. And due to certain, things, point to possible escapees. Even the possible escape to the surface of a certain nemesis. Yes, that's right. Evidence that points to Nemesis escaping the building and, well, being intelligent enough to re-oxygen lock it and then go all the way up to the surface and find a way onto, the entire, rest of the land that wasn't automatically covered up by, a giant-ass ocean. So yeah, Nemesis is definitely out and about. So yes, that'll be something to think about for you guys. However, a little something, I believe, I forget if I actually did indeed mention it all that well. I believe they're called the Regenerators. Yeah. And also I mentioned Half-Life. And the head crabs and head crab zombies. Oh, I'm not holding back, guys. I'm not holding back at all. The generators, head crab zombies, booyakacha. Bling, bling, bling. And yes, I will be doing my best to try to creep you guys out with my best impressions of what the head crab zombies are supposed to sound like. Because don't be fooled. They can still feel pain after they're infested with a head crab. These guys can still feel pain. I mean, for those of you that haven't played Half-Life, or Half-Life 2, or whatever, they can still feel pain after being infested by a head crab. Boy, oh boy, they can still feel pain. And hopefully my head crab impression and my head crab zombie impression will satisfy those that are looking to see just how good I am, even with this sore tongue, because of the fact that I bit my tongue. And challenge accepted. So yeah, you guys might be wondering, well, how like the Dead Space, like regenerators, and like possible other type Dead Space creatures, and well, on like the cusp of that, how like head crabs and head crab zombies, how does that even compute? Well, the story on that, basically, like the regenerators, which are going to be the ones mainly focused on for this, because really, whenever I think of Dead Space, I think of the creepy ass regenerators and, you know, the whole like elementary thing. I forget the name of it. It was supposed to be something elementary. Yeah, that one location in Dead Space, I think Dead Space 2. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so I think of that, and I also think of the regenerators. Those are the two things I mainly think of whenever I think of Dead Space. So, oh yeah, Titan Elementary. Yes, so possibly something along the lines of Titan Elementary. And the regenerators are two of the things I think of the most whenever thinking about Dead Space. And that cool looking suit you're constantly wearing, I mean, it looks badass. I guess you could call it the Dead Space armor. So yeah, the awesome cool suit, Titan Elementary, and the regenerators. And why are all those things going to be important? Well, because they're going to be integral to the story. And how exactly are they going to get all the way up to the mostly sunken Earth because of all of the whole global warming and like climate change shit that apparently we didn't take the advice of, or at least the people of this would have didn't take the advice, and now they're all screwed. Or at least the majority. Basically, how did like the regenerators and the head crabs and the head crab zombies, how did that, you know, basically head crab zombies, and the regenerators, and anything to do with Titan Elementary, and it's going to be a part of this. Well, more or less like the regenerators themselves in Titan Elementary. I imagine it would actually be quite tricky to actually incorporate Titan Elementary into this. However, the regenerators, that could possibly be a little bit easier. Well, technically, they are literally called the regenerators, so they're gonna be bitches to kill. Even like through asphyxiation, like with like all the water. So they just keep on going and going, no matter how many times they get killed through asphyxiation. They just keep on going until they reach the very tippity top, and that's how you get them in the story. They just don't quit. They just don't quit. You have to burn the shit out of them. Asphyxiation isn't going to work. Asphyxiation is not going to work. And that's how they got here. There's a 28 days later like zombies. Then there's the regenerators running around now. Because they finally got to the freaking surface. After so long of constantly being repetitively asphyxiated through drowning. But it won't stop them because they are literally called regenerators for a reason. They don't die. Unless you like heavy burn their asses. You got a heavy burn. All that ass. And more. And water isn't going to do that. Water isn't going to really cut it whenever it comes to these guys. Or at least the water that the planet is basically surrounded in. So yeah, the regenerators are eventually going to make their way to the surface level. Which, that spells a lot of bad news for anyone who wants to keep themselves alive and not regenerator food. If I'm saying it wrong, if they're reanimators instead of regenerators, but I'm pretty sure that they're called the regenerators. Anyways, so yeah. Basically, another, like, thing. 2 kids in My Hero Academia, Boku no Hero Academia, Kota and Eri. I'm going to change the whole aging process thing. To where Eri and Kota are like around the same ages as Mineta and Izuku. Izuku, the one with the Lagiacrus quirk, and Mineta, the one with the quirk that he has normally, though he has been working extremely hard to try to find a way to actually cause the quirk to have some sort of lethality to it. Beyond, like, just trying to pounce on someone and force a sticky ball down their throat so that they choke on it. But then again, you're just going to have less sticky balls. Unless you plan on retrieving the sticky ball from the dead person's corpse. And there's corpse germs going to be in your hair. I don't know exactly how comfortable Mineta was going to be with, like, corpse germs. So, yeah, basically, they both decided, Izuku and Mineta both decided, yeah, that's not going to work. Plus, zombies, it's more or less head trauma, not, like, choking them out. It's more or less a head trauma thing. Or you could just eat them, like, completely. It's either, like, head trauma, head explosion, like, you either, like, head trauma or, like, eat them. Some type of head trauma, if it's, like, head trauma from just hitting them really hard, head trauma from shooting them in the head, to the possible point of maybe even causing the head to explode. That type of head trauma, possibly. Or you could just, like, get someone who is big enough to, like, eat the mofos. Not, like, them be the ones to be eaten, like, them be the ones to eat the zombies. But these are, like, the 28 days later guys. They are, like, legit cray-cray. And, I'm including head crab zombies as well. And, that's just going to be unsettling as hell. But hey, if the Sea Emperor guys being loud as hell, is going to piss Izuku off to the point of killing those guys, I don't think the head crab zombies are going to exactly like having Izuku around. Because if he does that to the Sea Emperors for being loud as hell, yeah, these head crab zombies aren't going to last much longer. Plus, they're like ridiculously small whenever compared to the Sea Emperors. I would think. At least, I would think. And so, yeah, if they're a good bit like smaller than the Sea Emperor dudes, yeah, I would think that they would definitely want to like swipe left whenever it came to Izuku. And the fact that Izuku is bromance with Mineta, being all friends and shit. So, if they tried to kill Mineta, Izuku would just kill them first. He's really good at doing that, actually. Really good at just killing things that, piss him off. So, yeah. Basically, you guys might be wondering, okay, we got how, the regenerators got to the surface, but what about the head crabs and head crab zombies? That would have, imply, that, the people, there were people down there that first, and then the head crabs attacked. But if it's already all sunken, then how could that happen? Well, it's called head crabs infesting oxygen-locked areas. Yes, that's right. Even in oxygen-locked areas, such as Aperture Science, you could possibly run into a horde of head crabs, wanting to suck on the nutrients of your so scrumptious skull. Yeah. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So basically, these guys, in order to stay alive, like the head crabs, they just, hitch a ride into the various possible entryways, while the people aren't looking, so that they can basically just, take them by surprise later on. It's kind of like a hide and seek type strategy. You wait, until it's just the right time, and then, ha! Yeah, that's kind of how exactly that happens. But you guys also might be like, well, we get how exactly the head crab zombies are formed, the whole hide and wait strategy of the head crabs that are sneaking into these oxygen-locked areas by following the people that were entering the oxygen-locked areas, all that. But how were the head crab zombies going to resurface onto the earth? Well, it's called suits. Head crabs have, they feel as if they have no more use for the suits. They basically have their little flesh puppets take the suits off and, dispose of them. Preferably somewhere whenever they could pick them back up later on if they felt they needed to go for a swim. But, head crabs usually don't go that route because of things like the Sea Emperors. And the Ghost Leviathan dudes. That shit. Yeah. The head crabs, Even they have their limits, and they know that. The crabs are smarter than you think. They're smart. They plan their attack on the people that they want to possess as their own little head crab zombie meat puppets. And they know whenever they've met their match. So that's why they don't go near the water. Or at least don't try to be forced into anywhere near the water. So yeah. There's your answer on that. Basically just... Oh, and another thing. The behemoth. I believe it was either Final Fantasy or Monster Hunter or both. Like a free DLC thing. It was the behemoth. And ever since Uncle Dylan's whole what if Izuku was the behemoth? Or a behemoth? Whatever you say. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Basically, ever since then, I've been thinking it would be cool to have the behemoth in here. So why not behemoth? And also, like, mana. Yes. Like, the possible connections to Final Fantasy that apparently the behemoth has. Well, Final Fantasy, there's mana. So, we can add mana into the mix. Hey, I guess, like, Mineta could use a strategy of whenever they do indeed figure out about mana, use mana to actually give elemental attributes to his sticky balls. And, well, in that way actually make them lethal. Like coating one of the sticky balls in fire. Or coating one of them in, like, electricity. Or ice. That kind of shit. But you can also make it basically where he has full control, so he can remove the element just so that it isn't stuck in his hair whenever he turns it back into his hair. Because with Mineta, there's the hair state, and then there's the pop-off state. Basically, yeah, I think that's the only real reason how Mineta could actually make his, sticky ball things actually deadly. Is if he infused them with a certain type of mana. So, when and if they do, figure out about mana, seeing as Izuku's already the freaking Lagiacrus, yeah. I don't think he's gonna need all that much extra help with mana. That is, unless he just wants to make his electricity stronger. He can always, I guess, work on that. Or maybe try to create some sort of cool water attack or infuse, water with his electricity. Make something cool out of that. Possibly actually make it, some sort of elemental attacks, little storms being raised. Kind of how, the Pokemon Lugia, whenever it flaps his wings, every time it does that, there's a 40, day and night, storm that happens. Apparently, if the Pokedex is supposed to be believed. So it could be something like that, too. That is, if Izuku actually felt like he, should actually think about using mana. But I really think that in terms of actual using mana, when or if they actually figure out about mana, basically, that Mineta would be the one more suited for something like that. However, there are two other characters that I want to introduce as friends. And I said their names already, Coda and Eri. That's why I said I was going to do some, age alteration, like numbers. Basically make them all around the same age. Basically, like, Mineta would be the person to probably use mana the most. And that's because, well, there's going to be some special things about Coda and Eri. And it's basically be like, I don't remember ever hearing or like reading anything up about Coda having a quirk. Or at least, if he had a quirk, what his quirk was. So I'm just going to say that whatever his quirk is, it's the same as Izuku. In fact, that it's like a beast. Like how Izuku's is a beast. But instead of the Lagiacrus, like another Lagiacrus, it's the behemoth. Basically, a behemoth. Yes. Coda basically gets a behemoth quirk. I'm going to give him it for this. I'm going to have it be his quirk. And he's going to learn how to control it better as he, grows older in age. Just like kind of how that was how Izuku dealt with his quirk, the Lagiacrus. You know. So basically, that's how that would happen. As they would grow older, they would be, better able to control their quirk states. Like forms, transformations. The Lagiacrus and the Behemoth. And if you're wondering, like, well, what about Eri? Is she still going to have the same quirk? Or are you going to do something with her? Actually, yes and no. As in, I will do something with her, but you guys may or may not have actually expected this. Due to some things, well, you guys heard me say something about Titan Elementary. Let's just say that Coda and Eri both actually went to Titan Elementary. However, Overhaul had some, shady deals that he was pulling along with the people aboard the vessel that contained Titan Elementary. Basically, Overhaul was doing some shady shit along with the other people running the area. And, basically convincing him that he was her father when really he's just lying out of his ass. But, the guys didn't know any better, so, yeah. Eri basically got stuck there with, Overhaul, just doing his thing. Using all the stuff, aboard the vessel, that contained Titan Elementary to, like, improve, like, his studies and his research and all that shit. And also using Eri, just basically using whoever he could to further his research. So something would also just like always be off about this Coda kid. You could never quite tell, and that's kind of something that always kept him from using Coda. And it turns out that the off thing is indeed the behemoth quirk. Now, the same as Izuku, Koda unlocks the behemoth quirk, well, around the age of 5. Just like how Izuku awakened like his Lagiacrus quirk at the age of 5. And there was also some killing done by Koda in the behemoth form, just like with Izuku whenever he first turned into Lagiacrus. Well, basically, you could say that Koda basically, once he had regained all of his like senses, basically the one person that kept an Overhaul at bay, like anytime he did try to grow some balls and still go after Koda, the one person that would keep him at bay would be Koda's brother, his big brother, Stain. Yes, if they're not already family in the canon, they are going to be family in this. And Stain is actually still out there. Yes, he's still alive. Basically, anyways, Stain would basically always be the person to keep, Overhaul at bay, because Overhaul knew what Stain could do, and also knew that Stain was ridiculous, like redonkulously freaking crazy skilled. And Overhaul was just Overhaul. Like, his quirk was nice, but, beyond that, he just used people. Kind of like a dollar store version of Orochimaru. And so, basically, that's always something that kept Overhaul at bay from ever hurting, Koda. And that is until the day, basically, that Stain basically witnessed, well, Overhaul was about to hurt Eri. Koda kept on, yelling at him to stop and to not do it, or else. And basically, whenever Overhaul heard this little or else thing, it was like, or else what? And Stan actually having some foresight into, like, some changes in Koda's personality as of late, was like, Overhaul, you idiot. And that's basically, as soon as Stan says that, just like, in the back of his mind, like, Overhaul, you idiot. Basically, that's whenever, basically, Koda finally reveals his quirk, his true quirk, and Stan sees it, freaking Eri sees it, and Overhaul sees it, and as soon as he sees it, he basically gets mauled down like it was a freaking bear in the middle of the woods. And literally nothing's able to take Koda down whenever he's in this form. Not a tranquilizer poison, not the bullets from guns. Like, no matter what they try, no matter how strong the gun, no matter how strong the tranquilizer poison, nothing affects. Not even blunt objects or swords or knives. Nothing. And Stain would just be like, you really think that anything you guys have is going to work against what my brother has become? Basically, that would be a Koda's story. And actually, Koda going all berserker mode would actually be the way that Stain would find a way out. He would take Koda and Eri with him, of course, but eventually he'd be like, okay, if I'm just babysitting you guys, you're not going to learn anything, you're not going to be able to survive. the way the world has changed so much. So, sorry, but I can't, keep on babysitting you anymore. I hope you understand this, Ari. And, little bro, I hope you guys can understand. Well, Ari does indeed feel saddened because, she actually grew to like Stain because, Stain was, well, the big brother to her, only friend in Titan Elementary because everyone else, just didn't exactly have the best opinion of her. And it's not because of her quirk, because her quirk is actually the result of something that happened after, the incident with the behemoth. Because of the incident with the behemoth, there's actually all of a sudden outbreak of regenerators. And well, basically, well, the regenerators start to take Area away, and as Koda's finally turning back to normal, Stain's trying to pull him back, seeing as he doesn't exactly have all that much energy to move left, so just trying to run away with his bro. Thinking that basically Area's doomed. However, what ends up happening is, well, Stain actually finds the both of them not too long after the whole outbreak of regenerators is dealt with, and finds that something seems to have changed about Eri, but he can't quite, put it to his, it's on the tip of his tongue, but he can't quite tell. Last thing he knew, she was being carried away by the regenerators for God knows what. And that's when Eri would tell Stain, about, they did something to her, but, she didn't really understand anything that they were doing. All she knew is that something was done to her. It felt like it might have been something to do, their powers interacting with her quirk, whatever it was. I mean, it hadn't really appeared yet, so it's not like she would have known. Or, maybe them interacting with, a special gene in her body could have caused a quirk to be created. That's whenever, well, basically after some rather brutal training in between Koda and Eri, after they had finally decided to go part ways with, Koda's older brother Stain, finally, it's during a brutal training session where Koda actually goes a little bit too overboard. However, he finds out that the several injuries he, basically layeth the smackdown upon Eri. He goes over to check up on her and make sure she's not dead. And basically figures out that what the regenerators did to her, basically her entire body's perfectly fine, though just a few seconds ago, basically, it was basically the equivalent of, regenerator steroids being pumped into somebody. As in, she's literally half regenerator now. Only she, to an extent, can indeed control her regenerator powers. The only time that really isn't the case is if, she isn't actually conscious enough to, control it herself, so automatically her body will go into overdrive and do the regenerating thing for her. So it only really like goes against her if she doesn't actually have enough, you know, left in her to actually, you know, control the quirk. So it really all depends on the state in which Eri is in, which how bad like the regenerator whole thing would be. And technically it's not actually a negative. I mean, even though she's half regenerator, that's a good thing as far as Coda's concerned. I mean, they can actually go all out now. They don't have to worry because whether she's conscious or unconscious, she will regenerate from anything he does. Like, there have even been some moments where hearts have been ripped out, heads have been chopped off, like all sorts of vital organs have been removed, but just like the regenerators in the game, you have to disintegrate every single last cell, or else they'll just come back like freaking perfect cell, or like super perfect cell after the freaking like semi-perfect cell explosion thing. It so looked ridiculous. Basically, yeah, being half regenerator, she basically has that same effect about her and her little what she deems as a quirk. Because, you know, just open up and like saying it to any and every single person that they meet, you know, that she's half regenerator. Basically, they like Coda and her don't exactly think that to be the best idea. And so instead they just say that, you know, she has a quirk that basically acts similar, like very similar to that of the behavior of the body and like everything else of the regenerator. You know, they're just like, isn't that, you know, a coinky dink? And you know, everybody's like, oh, they're just kids, so it can't actually be like a regenerator thing. They have no idea what actually happened back, you know, then. They have no idea that she actually is indeed half regenerator. And so, like, instead of, like, the whole rewind thing that Eri had, like, in canon, her quirk is going to be, you know, called Regenerator. Because she is half Regenerator, technically. And because of that half, she technically, unless you were to completely get rid of every single last part of her, she cannot die. You basically just have to completely Exodia obliterate her ass in order to get rid of her. Like, if you get off of, like, killing children. If that's something you get off on. Well, it's not something I get off on, but, you know, whatever floats your boat, wherever you are. You know, and it's basically, in order to actually be able to do that, you would actually have to be, like, pulling some Exodia obliterate shit in order to actually be able to, you know, do the job. And most people don't have, like, that heavy amount of power on their person all the time, every time. So, yeah, basically, Coda and Eri herself basically consider her to be pretty much Gigi no Ri perfectly safe. And Coda, you know, basically, you know, he is literally a behemoth. That is his quirk. And basically, he's seen the power that the behemoth has. And basically, yeah, he's pretty set too, he believes. Like, they both believe themselves to be pretty damn set. So yeah, it's basically, well, Dark Shadow Maverick, you've mentioned pretty much everything under the sun. So basically, like, how do Eri and Kota meet Izuku and Mineta? Well, it's actually pretty. How do I put it? Well, let's just say. Just because Kota is strong doesn't mean he's all that smart. Because there actually is one time where one of the Sea Emperors does actually come up to the surface partially and, look him in the eyes while he's in the behemoth form, and they start slapping the shit out of each other. More specifically, Kota starts slapping the shit out of the Sea Emperor. But the Sea Emperor is freaking enormous. Not to say that Kota isn't enormous in the behemoth form, but like the Sea Emperors are redonkulous, like in size. There are like some prehistoric ones that, good lord, like you find the skeleton of one of those things, and it's Jesus Christ. Basically, the Sea Emperor is kind of just taking the abuse from Kota, and then all of a sudden, it just, yum, like, just freaking nom-noms on one of his arms whenever he's about to smack it. Right in the schnoz. So just, like, pops up a little and, like, bites down onto Kota's arm, and Kota's doing, like, some He's just like wails of pain. Eri would recognize them as wails of pain because, she's been around Kota long enough to know, like, what the different sounds mean. And she recognizes that as, like, a type of wail of pain. And she knows that there isn't exactly that many people that can turn into a behemoth. Besides her and her brother, like, but hers isn't even a behemoth quirk, it's like half regenerator. So technically, like, her sort of adopted type brother that she basically made Kota out to be because she just loves him that much. She can tell he's in pain. And from the sound of it, a lot of pain. Because basically, now that the, big old Sea Emperor has Kota's arm, basically just treating Kota like a freaking chew toy. Like a puppy with a chew toy. Just going all AWOL, going all A-ham. Like, on freaking Kota's arm. Like, messing it to shit. And just keeps on going. Just trying to milk Kota's, like, entire everything for like, all it's worth. That's when all of a sudden, it just gets bonked right in the side of the head with the full force of a small girl's body. So basically just body slam. Not one of Ari's brightest moments, but hey, at least she tried. And she can't really get killed by this thing unless it, eats her and the stomach acids do the rest of the job. But, not all of the deepest, creatures of the deep are all that smart all the time. And know all about the whole thing with the actual weaknesses of the regenerators. So, yeah. What I'm basically saying here is, this in particular, Sea Emperor, does not know the actual weaknesses of the regenerators. And so, yeah, it just ignores Eri entirely. And that is until she starts doing the more zombie side part of the whole fact that she's half regenerator. and starts to actually bite into it, and like it's like the equivalent of a mosquito, and just like flicks her off with like just like by moving its nose slightly to the side, like flicks her off, and just like she lands on her neck. However, it's fine. She just rips her head off, and the Sea Emperor's like, "What the? Girl's freaking insane!" And that's whenever the Sea Emperor sees, basically, you can smell blood in the water, but more importantly, it just saw her regrow her head. And Sea Emperor is just like, "Okay, I'm just gonna go after the head that you ripped off, and leave you to be." Yeah, the Sea Emperor may not be the smartest, but after seeing that, it's like, okay, maybe I'll come back for you guys later. Whenever you're not paired up with whatever the hell that thing is supposed to be. Freaking rip the damn head off. What the frick? And that's whenever basically, you can tell like which one is which now, because, the Sea Emperor actually did get slapped several times by Coda in the Behemoth form, which he is now no longer in the Behemoth form because he lost a hell of a lot of blood. And so, basically just trying to put all the power of the regenerator into all that's left of her muscles. Basically carry Coda and his like normal human body to somewhere where they could possibly find like some sort of medical help, like medical attention for Coda. Because, Eri doesn't need it. Coda does, though. Like, literally, like, bleeding from the arm profusely. Like you would not believe. And, well, basically, the door that they end up knocking on, like, Eri ends up knocking on, who answers the door is, well, Mineta. He's just like, "Oh, hi, though, my god. Get in here immediately. I don't care how that happened. Get in here immediately." Okay, Mr. Name's Minoru Mineta. You can call me Mineta. Just get in here. Okay. Mineta. Izuku! We got a live one case. A live one case? Well, what exactly is the case with the live one? Technically, it's more like a live 2, but more or less you said that only to mention a live 1 if there was only one injured. You're very specific with certain rules. Kind of have to be in order to survive. Yeah, you're right. Though, I have also been researching up on something called mana. And it actually couldn't even be helpful with my sticky balls from my pop-off work. Oh, searching how to, reach deep into your mana reserves and figure out a way to make it to where it makes your pop-off, quirk more useful for actual lethality. That's great. It'll help a lot more with you not just being dead weight. Man, don't give me that look. I'm just kidding, man. I think we're forgetting something here, you two. Oh, that arm does not look in the best of ways. Well, Mineta, you remember where I told you the first aid kit is, right? Yeah, I remember. Okay. And I'm back. Jesus, you're still fast as hell. Good God. Damn. Anyways. Okay. Looking specifically at the injury. Well, Vendetta, we're gonna need to call this one indeed a special case. Say, you so happen to know what your friend's quirk is? We ended up deciding to name it Behemoth. Behemoth? Izuku, it's kind of like how your quirk is called Lagiacrus. Yeah, but there's legends about Behemoth. Also legends about the Lagiacrus. Wait, you can turn into the Lagiacrus? Wait, so you're scared of me now? No. Technically, my quirk, I'm half of some sort of creature called regenerators. So basically, call my quirk Regenerator. At least we make it look like it's a quirk. But really, it's just the result of a bunch of screwery involving the regenerators and what they were trying to do to me. I don't know what it was, but I ended up passing out because of it. Whenever I woke back up, well, don't like to discuss much of the rest. Wait, wow. Did you actually? Yep. Get it fixed up that quick. Yeah, Minetta's actually really good at first aid. He was able to, help himself real fast, actually. Basically trying to figure out what the whole house is basically made out of. And in doing so, he hurt his hand really bad. Though he was able to fix it pretty quick as soon as I told him where the first aid was. Wow, that's amazing. So, even though you're just now learning about the ability to possibly integrate mana into your own quirk, which doesn't seem very lethal on its own, apparently, you also have your own special talent that doesn't exactly have to revolve around your quirk. You're really good at fixing people up. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm trying to tell Mineta that he's a really good medic. Maybe he should listen to me more about stuff like that. Well, it might be a while until your friend wakes up. All depends on how much energy he used before he kinda crashed. Or whatever happened. Well, actually, it was one of those big old weird, underwater monster thingies. The ones with the big mandible jaws that are really, 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 really loud. Wait, a sea emperor? Your brother was in a fight with a sea emperor. Like, I get the whole behemoth quirk. No, I know about the legends of the behemoth. But, oh god, you poor unfortunate souls to actually think that that was going to work. Well, we weren't really thinking much of anything. Well, at least I wasn't. I was too busy doing my own thing. That is until I heard my brother's wails of pain. This sea emperor thing, you calling it, bit straight down onto his arm and was dragging him around like a puppy with a chew toy. Holy shit, no wonder his arm looked like literal freaking... I don't even begin to know how to describe it now. Yeah, best advice, don't ever try to do that again, regardless of your brother's quirk. Well, I guess we should also, remind him not to do that. That's a lot easier than it might probably seem. I don't know. Maybe, possibly after seeing Izuku's quirk, maybe we could rein him in easier into the idea of not doing something so stupid as to pick a fight with the Sea Emperor. Well, he actually was doing pretty good for a while, and possibly so good that you could actually find the Sea Emperor that bit onto his arm. Oh, you talking a free meal? Wait, is your quirk really like that? You honestly have never heard of the Lagiacrus, haven't you? It's this. Izuku shows basically Eri a piece of paper with a picture of the Lagiacrus and, well, basically a description of what the Lagiacrus is. Oh, holy crap. So, you get in fights with those guys daily and nightly? Oh yeah, they're loud as hell and makes it nearly impossible to sleep. Have to remind them who's on the top of the food chain. It also helps that I have electrical powers down in the deep blue where they like to be, so I can shock them and the water can conduct electricity, basically leaving them on the brink of death. However, I never let them have that sweet release. That is, unless I'm hungry enough. Then maybe I'll be that generous. As to end their suffering. However, you say this one, the actual scars from fighting your brother in the behemoth state, would be noticeable enough? Yeah, I mean, you seem to know a little bit about the whole behemoth thing, so you would know what the claw marks, or possible teeth marks even, would look like on a sea emperor, you call him. Well, yeah, I guess you make a point. Well then, Banana, I'm doing damage control. Wait, now? Yeah, is it really that hard to ask you to watch over those two? I mean, if that guy's still asleep, and well, not really sure what to do with her. My name's Eri, and that's my brother-ish, Coda. We used to live with someone by the name of Stain, but he ended up saying that if we were to grow up to truly be strong and to survivors, that he couldn't just keep on babysitting us, even if, Koda was his actual blood brother, and he actually did indeed apologize, but, did also indeed reinforce that this was basically what he considered the best thing for us to do for ourselves. Well then, we got some survivors. And I also think I might have scared that Sea Emperor off whenever I regrew my head. after tearing it off whenever, well, got attacked real good. Oh, so that's why your quirk is called Regenerator. Even your head, like other vital parts of your body too, like heart, like lungs, like kidneys, yeah, all kinds of that stuff. Basically, every single last, you know, like piece of me is completely regenerable. I can regenerate from basically anything. Okay then. Now it's ironclad why she's called that thing. Regenerator. Exactly, that's what it does. It also has sort of a zombie effect on me, you know? And that's kind of what got me knocked back. I tried nomming on it in order to save my brother. Oh, you mean a zombie effect as in you're like a zombie sometimes? Yeah, kind of like something like that. Oh, holy shit. Man, we might have just gotten ourselves two new friends, Izuku. Oh, yeah, I guess I would like to consider it like that. I mean, I'm just about to kick the ass of that one thing I thought I could try and rip your brother's arm off and get away with it. I mean, you two seem like genuinely nice people. And so, that Sea Emperor's gotta pay. Possibly even with its life, I feel like it. Let's see. Oh, it just now hit 12 on the dot. That means lunchtime. That means I feel like it. Okay, here we go. Holy crap! What the? Oh, you're awake. Oh, of course I'm awake. What was that? Eri, where are we? And my arm. Thanks to that guy over there. He says my name is Minoru Mineta. And that's how your arm is fixed. And the one doing the roaring outside? Well, that's the person Izuku. He says his quirk is Lagiacrus, just like how your quirk is Behemoth. That's how he's able to do that. Oh. Damn. There were certain things said about Lagiacrus back in Titan Elementary. Uh, well, I guess I never really did pay all that much attention in class. Yeah, because you were always afraid of what that overhaul guy might actually do to you. And the fact that he always was so easily able to get away with lying to everyone at the place where you're basically forced to live about actually being your father. When in all reality, we both know that's not true. And that's, a good thing why my big brother always stuck up for the both of us and made sure that overhaul guy knew about his boundaries. Now that's a lot. Now you two should probably stay somewhere around here. Uh, I mean, both of you may have absolutely fantastic quirks, But, well, whenever Izuku gets to doing what Izuku does, uh, well, best advice, don't try and follow him. It can get really nasty really fast. Okay, Mr. Mineta. Just call me Mineta, Eri. Can I just call you Mineta? Yes, that goes for you too, Coda. Oh, what a family we've gained. It's only been so long, and we already have more friends and family. And they have absolutely spectacular powers. And I'm even learning even more about the ability to equip my own quirk with mana, and thus using it in more lethal ways. Let's see. Okay. Whenever I think about it, what's the easiest state of matter I could control? Lightning is plasma, and fire is gas. The most solid, revolvable thing that I could probably, even though it would be ridiculously heavy for its small size, given that it would be comparable to my pop-off, still be ridiculously heavy. It would definitely be easier to control, though. Once I got the hang, on to all of it, that's it. First style of choice, Ice Mana. Okay. Starting tomorrow, we truly unite. Considering how long I've been talking, I think, yeah. On to the analysis, because the Dark Shadow Member gets OT out of here. Yada yada yada. You've heard me ramble on long enough. I think you guys deserve a little bit of a what could be considered a breather. But that's all, folks. I could bounce.